open hearts, spinning in the heat. Speedway Alliance, kick up the dust. If you ain't sideways, you ain't with us. Dirt track racing the way it's supposed to be. This is our league, our creed, our speed. Under the cautions, we circle slow, facing the visor, nobody knows. Praying that setup will finally bite. Ready to gamble it all on one night, one night, one night. Speedway Alliance, we ride that edge. Dirt track racing the way it's supposed to be. Slide that tail, hang the throttle off the ledge. Wide open hearts, spinning in the heat. Speedway Alliance, kick up the dust. If you ain't sideways, you ain't with us. Good track racing the way it's supposed to be. This is our league, our creed, our speed, our speed. Kick up the dust. We'll live in the haze. Speedway Alliance, built for these days. Kick dust. Night rush. White lines. Head crush. Let's go. Let's go. Boots in the clay, pit lane prayers, sun going down, floodlights glare, tape on the number, scars on the frame. We don't chase money, we chase the same flame. Fuel on our heads, grit in our teeth, talk in the trailer, war underneath. Open bumper, stories in steel. You don't think cleaner, you don't think real. Speedway Alliance, we ride that edge. Dirt track racing the way it's supposed to be. Slide that tail, hang the throttle off the ledge. Wide open hearts, spinning in the heat. Speedway Alliance, kick up the dust. If you ain't sideways, you ain't with us. Dirt track racing the way it's supposed to be. This is our league, our creed, our speed. Green flag twitch, heartbeat spikes. Pack goes wild, we thread through the stripes. Roost in the mirror, helmet hums tight. Left front lifted like it wants to take flight. Wall comes close, inches from shame. Name on the board, unforgotten again. Talk comes cheap in the online roar. Out here it's elbows, inches, score.
Woo! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this evening as the Speedway Alliance Racing League back in action here tonight as these factory stocks get ready to rumble, they get ready to roll here this evening from Eldora Speedway. for what is going to be a very, very fun night of racing action. A lot of back and forth, a lot of track out there to kind of maneuver, to find a lane, to try to find a groove in trying to put yourself up and into victory lane. As Bash says, let's go Team Purpose Racing. Cheered on the Purpose Racing team here this evening. Brenda says, hey boys, we are here. Good luck. Cheering on the boys here this afternoon. Melina Anderson in the chat as well says, good luck as each and every one of these drivers ready to go to battle. As heat race number 1 rolls out onto the racetrack, it's Jacob Hefner who will start in the pole position. To his outside in the number 69, that is Mr. Carson Cherry. Starting in position number 3 in the 999 ride, that is the 999 machine of Corey Sibley. To his outside, the 71 is Daniel George. Starting in position number 5 in the number 3 is Latham Joyner. To his outside in the 79 ride, that is Gary Steele, bringing up the rear of the field. So we get 6 drivers here ready to rock and roll for heat race number 1 from the beautiful Eldora Speedway. Is the 4 ride of Jacob Hefner. Down and out of corner number 4, we'll see that green flag fly, and we are quickly back to battle here with the Speedway Alliance Racing League. After their bye week, a week off for the Super Bowl last Sunday night, we're glad to see these guys right back into the action here this afternoon. And for each and every one of them, they'll be looking to try to drive their way up to the front. Right now, you do see that beautiful number 4 and 4 ride. It's Carson Cherry and Jacob Hefner. Now, the scoring will call the 4 of Carson Cherry in the 69, but he is in that Oil Queen number 4 machine of, that black, orange, purple machine there, and to his inside, the other 4, that is Mr. Jacob Hefner. So they're going to continue to battle here at the front of the field as Carson Cherry does take over that race lead, hanging that left front tire up and into the air, and it seems like he's really got that thing hooked up and rolling nicely here this evening. A little bit more planted, though, that 4 ride behind him. Jacob Hefner going to have to try to find his way back out in front as Corey Sibley trying to just hang on here to that 3rd spot right now. Has Latham Joyner down to his inside. Looks like Latham may be able to complete that pass down through corner number 1 and 2 as he rolls to the inside. Looks like he'll be able to get the power down. Sibley up the track, gonna bounce it off the fence right there. We'll cross back down low to the inside of that 3 ride. See if he can try to find something here and try to find his way and fight his way back up into the top 3. But for now, he will slide back into position number 4. That's where we see the 79 of Gary Steele and that 71 of Daniel George back there in that 6th position. They're going to continue to beat and bang and battle back here for 5th and 6th as they continue to battle here at the front of the field. Carson Cherry hanging on to the race lead, but Hefner keeping him honest here at the front of the field. Hefner right there with them, still sticking to his back bumper. Trying to take another peek underneath of him there a lap ago, but now he's running out of time. This is the white flag, so the final lap around here in heat race number 1 as here comes Hefner, gets to the inside, tries to stay glued to that left rear quarter panel of Carson Cherry to give an opening down here through corner number 3 and 4. He's going to get in there, make a little contact, but Cherry will hold on and pick up heat race win number 1. Hefner will have to settle for 2nd. It was Latham Joyner, Corey Sibley, Gary Steele, and Daniel George back in position number 6. As we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go. Here it will be heat race number 2, ready to rock and roll, ready to go to battle here in this one. And starting on the pole in the number 2, that is Ryder Poston. Ryder Poston going to start here in the top position. To his outside in the 15, that is Thomas Thies. Starting in position number 3 in the number 34 is James Williams. To his outside in the number 20, that is Sebastian Rios Davis. They're in position number 4 on the racetrack. Starting in the 5th place position will be that F18 ride of Nate Friesen. To his outside, the number 24, it's Noah Allison. Again, 6 more drivers ready to rumble, ready to duke it out here in this one. As Bash says, Team Purpose with the heat race win. Let's go, he says, as We also get another fan in the stands says, let's go Tommy and Nate. Cheering on Tommy and Nate here this evening. Well, for Mr. Fees, gets to start in position number 2. For Nate Friesen, a little farther back there, starting in that 5th position. He'll have to try to find something down low and see if he can try to gain some spots, move himself forward here in heat race number 2, as we'll get them all ready to rumble, ready to rock and roll here as we'll get ready to set them loose. Who's it going to be? Will it be another one of our front row starters who finds the win here in heat race number 2? Or will it be somebody from back behind them who can drive forward and maybe steal this heat race win? Is down and out of core number 4. Great launch, great start for the 2 of Ryder Poston. Poston out in front is, look out, upside down goes James Williams. Williams upside down going for a crazy ride right there. He's going to stay planted in the middle of the racetrack. He's going to have to probably tow this thing down pit side. He's still sitting there on the speedway. No caution flag. We'll keep it clean and green. Luckily enough, everyone able to work around him, so he will go a lap down. He needs to take this car off the racetrack. He needs to get it off there. There we go. Finally gets that car off the racetrack after a big hit. We'll take a look back at it. Is out in front. Ryder Poston out in front. Ryder's got the top spot. Sticking out in front as the KRE number 2 machine still leading the way here. Sebastian Rios Davis back in second with Noah Allison up and into position number 3. Nate Friesen and Thomas Thies back in 4th and 5th. Unfortunately for Thies, he fell back like a rock there off the start, and unfortunately for that 15, he's going to have to try to see if he can find that extra speed, find that extra gear, and try to drive up here to battle with these guys throughout the rest of this heat race. Unfortunately, he's just way off the pace and continuing to fall farther and farther behind, and unfortunately, losing all this time. He's running half a second, almost a second slower than our race leaders. I'm not sure if this is, again, another area where we kind of see the Monte Carlos running into more issues and being a little bit more off pace compared to what we see out of these, these Camaros in front. As of right now, the 2 ride, though, he'll say thank you very much as he's got a solid lead. He's able to open up a good gap here. Is already a second between himself and that 20 ride of Sebastian Rios Davis. Noah Allison all the way from 6th up and into 3rd now, knocking on the door of a top 2 run here in this heat race. Well, let's take a look back and see what happens to the 34 ride. Off the get-go here, looks like we're going to get a pretty decent start, and he gets a good launch, but right there, spins the tires, then him and Friesen get hooked together as he starts to spin the tires. Shoots back down the racetrack. Friesen gets a piece of him. Unfortunately, it just turns him up and over, and he goes for a wild ride down into core number 1, and that is a tough break for him, as we will see the checkered flag fly here in heat race number 2 as the number 2 of Ryder Poston picks up that heat race win. Sebastian Rios Davis in second with Noah Allison, Nate Friesen, Thomas. These are top 5, and unfortunately that car going upside down and going for a ride. James Williams will finish back in that 6th position as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to roll here for heat race number 3. Heat race number 3 gonna line up like this, and starting on the pole in the number 13, that is Holden Anderson. To his outside will be the 12 machine of Jordan Brinkley, with the number 71 of Daniel George down starting in that 3rd spot on the speedway. To his outside will be the number, actually it's the 17 ride, which is also the 71. Okay, we have way too many 71s in this field. So we got the 71 of Daniel George, the 71 of Robert Chartent there in position number 3. George will start to his outside in 4th. Starting back in that 5th position will be the 51 ride of Clay Christopherson, as Christopherson will start there in that 5th position. To his outside will be the number 4 ride again of RJ Murphy. Okay, so we got way too many 71s, and we got way too many 4s in this series. Drivers need to start finding some different numbers, chat. You guys need to start finding some different numbers. Everyone's running the 4, everyone's running the 71. I don't understand it. But nonetheless, we'll keep on battling. We'll get ready to rumble here again this afternoon as out in front, Holden Anderson in the 13 will look to try to get another good launch, another good start here, and hope to try to see if he can hang on and keep that Hawkeye trucking machine at the front of the field to pick up a big heat race win in heat race number 3. As Carson Cherry, what's good, Carson? Carson in the chat says Team Purpose 2 for 2 in the heat races. 2 for 2. Heat race number 1 and heat race number 2 out there on the racetrack. Beautiful thing to see when your team and your teammates can do a good job and pick up those heat race wins. As well, here we go. I'm gonna get ready. Heat race number 3. Getting underway as the pace truck will make the hard left-hand turn back down pit side. Green flag is in the air for Holden Anderson and the rest of our field as heat race number 3 gets kicked underway. You do see Anderson getting a great launch, great start right there. Unfortunately, a couple drivers a little farther back here, Daniel George and RJ Murphy, did not get the launch that they were hoping for back in that 5th and 6th position. Both drivers fall back quickly into that bottom 2 positions out there on the racetrack as out in front, Holden Anderson holding down the top spot out there on the speedway. Robert Chartet in the 71 looking to try to take over that 2nd spot. He's been able to get a good run and good drive. He works his way around Jordan Brinkley, and Brinkley falls back into that 3rd spot on the speedway. Now here comes Clay Christopherson. Christopherson looking to his outside, trying to jump up and into position number 3 on the speedway in that mellow yellow number 51 ride. And this is exactly what the 13 ride wants to see. He wants to see these guys continue to duke it out back here for, that 3rd position, 2nd position, allow him to kind of open up a little bit better of a gap here. So he's really hoping that Brinkley or this 51 ride can start battling door to door with that 71 of Robert Chartet. Is Chartet out in that 2nd spot? He is reeling in our race leader, and for the 13 ride of Holden Anderson, that's not what you want to see. You don't want to see these guys reeling into your back bumper. You want to see them getting smaller and smaller in that rear view mirror. Unfortunately for him, the 71 is there. They have tracked him down, and they're now looking to make the move around him, but look out, there's contact down low as Jordan Brinkley puts his nose into the middle of it. That may be enough for Anderson to hold him off, at least for another lap or 2. That's exactly what Holden needed right there, as that does kind of slow down the pace for Robert Chartet. Chartet will have to try to mount another challenge, another run, and try to figure out a way to get around this 13 ride as Clay Christopherson jumps up and into position number 3, and now he's going after the 71. White flag has been displayed, and that's exactly what Anderson needed. As for the 13 ride, the final time here in heat race number 3, down the back straightaway, nice and easy, down and through corner number 4, back down to the line. The 71 won't be able to get there as Holden Anderson will pick up our 3rd heat race win of the evening. Robert Chartet will come up in 2nd with Clay Christopherson back in 3rd. Jordan Brinkley, RJ Murphy, and Daniel George will round out our top 6 as a great group of heat races right there. Some great action, some great battling, as some good door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper, elbows up battling there throughout those heat races will get us lined up and stacked up here for our main feature event, as these drivers will get a quick warm-up session where they'll get an opportunity to slide out onto the racetrack, make sure that their cars are absolutely set up perfectly, that they are ready to rock and roll and go to battle here this evening. As you do see the 999 of Corey Sibley, he's going to jump out there. He's looking to try to run some good, easy laps, hoping to try to put himself into a solid position out there onto the speedway, and obviously looking for a much better run than what he had in heat race number, I think it was in heat race number 1 here this evening, or maybe heat race number 2. Nonetheless, did not get the finish that I think that 999 was hoping for, but he's going to hope to get a little bit of something extra here out of this A-main feature event. Now, this is going to be a little bit longer of a A-main here this evening, as for all of these drivers, this is going to be a 50-lap A-main feature event. The last few weeks, we've been only running, roughly about 20 laps. We've only been really running those 20-lap A-main feature events. Now we're getting into a 50-lap A-main feature event, as I do believe this is our Veterans Day special race here this evening. So a little bit of an extra special race, giving us some extra laps here for our Eldora Veterans Memorial 50-lap feature event here this evening, which is going to give drivers an opportunity here to try to figure some things out here. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be trying to figure out how to make these cars last a little longer, what they're going to need to do to try to make the tires stay on here a little while longer as well. That could all come into factor here. 50 laps, it is a good distance, especially around Eldora Speedway, where tire wear could really come into play. Tire wear, fuel mileage, it could all play a factor here in this main. So for all these drivers, you got to be kind of keeping your mind on the angle here. It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish, and if you can kind of play your cards right, maybe get lucky with a couple timely caution flags, could potentially put you into a winning situation later in the evening. So we'll have to wait and see who will be able to get it done here this evening in the Speedway Alliance Racing League, as each and every one of these guys are ready to rock and roll. As Melina says, that's my son. So proud of Holden. So proud of Holden. Cheered him on here this evening. Great heat race win there for that 13 ride. As Brenda says, come on, boys. Come on, boys. Cheering on the boys here this evening as we'll get them all ready to go back to battle here in just a couple moments. A quick warm-up session for all these drivers. They're able to kind of make sure they get the right setups in, make sure that if there is any changes that they'll have an opportunity to kind of make those changes here during that warm-up session, get the cars dialed in a little bit, and get ready for what is going to be a 50-lap feature event here this evening, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and are ready to roll out and onto the racetrack in just a couple more moments as they get loaded in down pit side. Each and every one of them going to be looking for, just a solid run here this evening. And I think it's going to get really, really interesting to see, where these guys are going to be able to find that extra little bit of speed, that extra little bit of gear, maybe that extra little bit of a game plan to try to work into their favor here this evening. Because we could see some fall backwards here rather quickly, trying to save potentially a little tire or a little fuel for later in this race. For some of the other drivers, maybe they're just going to think, hey, you know what, we could stay clean and green, we could run all 50 laps without an issue, so they're gonna jump out there and just try to go as hard as they can for all 50 laps here, and just hope that it can work in their favor, whether or not it's having that track position or just, having the tires hold on for that 50-lap run. But out in front, starting on the pole, will be this beautiful in memorial for Gary Steele. The number 4 ride of Carson Cherry will start in the pole position. To his outside, that is rider Poston. Poston will start there in position number 2. Starting back in that 3rd spot will be that 13 ride of Holden Anderson. To his outside, in the other number 4, it is Jacob Hefner starting in that 4th position. Starting back in 5th is Sebastian Rios Davis. To his outside, the 71 is Robert Chartet. Starting in position number 7 out there on the racetrack is the 3 of Latham Joyner. To his outside will be the 24 of Noah Allison. Starting in position number 9 is the 51 of Clay Christopher Sim. To his outside, the 999 is Corey Sibley. And then we see that F18 and Nate Friesen, Jordan Brinkley, Thomas Thies, RJ Murphy, Daniel George, James Williams, Gary Steele, and Daniel George back there at the back of the pack. As here we go quickly into racing action, and down the back straightaway, it is the number 4 of Carson Cherry. Who will hold on to the race lead, but quickly working to the inside is that 2 ride, and it looks like Drag Race back to the line. Too close to call right there to see who leads lap number 1 here this evening, but for the number 2 of rider Poston's right there, rolling nice and easy to the inside of that 4 ride of Carson Cherry. And so far, it seems like for a lot of these drivers, there's no holding back, there's no slowing down. These guys are on top of the throttle. They are pushing as hard as they can, hoping that they can get to the end of this race and not see a caution flag here this evening. But back through the field, you see them back here beating and banging, battling 2-3 wide. Hang on to the 71 of Robert Chartet, almost going around right there, but it's some tight right, elbows up racing, heads up racing back here, deeper throughout the field. All these guys making a lot of contact. They're bouncing around, they're moving around. There's more contact as the 999 of Sibley gets up and into the 12 of Jordan Brinkley. Brinkley falls back now into the 12th position. He's got the 71 of Daniel George there to his back bumper as Daniel George now look to try to work his way forward here in that beautiful Twisted Speed setups. Number 71 Ryan Thomas Thies, though, down to the inside. Thies looking strong out there. That Hawkeye trucking. Number 15 Ryan. We saw him slow in his heat race, but seems like he's kind of on point here for this A-Main feature event. Maybe this has a little bit of a different setup, but he's going to get in there too deep, push up the racetrack, almost takes Daniel George out. Luckily enough, George able to hang on to it, keep that car pointing the right direction. Now here comes that 79 of Gary Steele. Down to his inside, Gary's trying to jump up into position. Number 14 out there on the racetrack is out in front. It's still Carson Cherry. Cherry continues to lead the way. Ryder posting right down to his inside. Here comes Jacob Hefner, Latham Joyner, and Noah Allison, all trying to work their way up and through this top 5 to the front of the field. Sebastian Rios Davis back there in 6th, and unfortunately for Holden Anderson, early on here in this feature event, has fallen back into position number 7. But these guys, they are still going hard out there on the racetrack. They're 2-3 wide here at the front of the field. Contact there as the 4 ride of Hefner gets into the door panel of the 2 ride of Ryder Poston. Poston still just working down low, working to the inside here of Carson Cherry, and it's not really allowing Cherry to run away with it, and it's really keeping the pace up. And for a lot of these drivers, having to carry that extra speed, that extra pace here, kind of moving around the racetrack and starting to get into that rubbing and scrubbing could really start to burn some of your equipment off rather quickly out there on the racetrack, especially with how slick this speedway is. Could really start to chew away at your tires, so it may be a little bit more consistency as key by the end of this feature event, as we do see Latham Joyner able to roll the outside groove, and he's going to jump up into position number 2, moving the 2 ride of Ryder back into position number 3 on the speedway. Hefner falls back into position number 4 as here comes the 24 and Noah Allison, that 20 right of Sebastian Rios Davis. They're drawing into these guys, and it's starting to get tighter and tighter here for our top 5 as Sebastian Rios Davis, Holden Anderson, they're right there ready to pounce. Clay Christopherson in that mellow yellow, number 51 in the 71 ride of Robert Chartette, right there ready to get in on the action, ready to start duking it out here inside of our top 10, our top 5 out there on the speedway. Corey Sibley right now in that 999 ride, rounding out the top 10. He's hoping that he can start to reel in the rest of these guys in front of him as they start beating and banging. They're starting to check up the 4 ride. Oh no, tough break here. Looks like some damage for Jacob Hefner. Hefner is looking to try to get this thing down pit side. The caution flag has been displayed as you see that right side absolutely tore apart here for that beautiful number 4 machine. Let's take a look and see what happens and how this kind of gets started, because the 4 ride was way off the pace, and it looks like for him and maybe the 24, Noah Allison makes some contacts. The 24 rolling to the outside. The 4 ride kind of slides up as he gets into the 2 right here. I think that's exactly where to see. So he moves up the racetrack, gets into the 2 ride, then he's right in front of the 24. Allison's got nowhere to go as he slides up, kicks that tail end in front of him, and then obviously unbalanced, bouncing around the 4 ride, hard contact up and into the 24. They both end up slamming hard into that outside fence. Heavy damage for both Noah Allison and Jacob Hefner. Even the 2 ride of Ryder Poston getting some pretty solid contact there as well with the outside fence. And unfortunately for those guys, they are going to fall back. They're going to have to head down pit side and try to get their cars repaired. Now, lucky news is caution flag did come out, so they'll get an opportunity to do it during the yellow flag. Maybe able to stay on the lead lap, but they may have to, lose even more track position or have to use a quick repair up early in this race. We're only 17 laps in. We still got a lot of laps left to go here this evening as each and every one of these drivers will get stacked up, will get racked up. It does look like our 3rd place driver, Ryder Poston. Poston's going to stay out there on the speedway, does not come down pit side. So looks like the contact that he got into in the outside fence doesn't really look like it made any solid damage or anything that will change change up how he's going to finish or run the rest of this race, unless if he gets tore up again out there on the racetrack. Because here we go, green flag back into the air. Each and every one of them trying to figure out a line, trying to figure out a way to work themselves to the front. And right now for the 2 ride, slow restart right there. Ends up losing that second row as the 20 ride Sebastian Rios Davis jumps up and into position number 2. Great restart there for Rios Davis as he jumps into that second spot. But here comes Latham Joyner right there back to his inside, trying to stay door to door here for that second position. May open up the door for the 4 ride of Carson Cherry to start to pull farther and farther away as Cherry now has this top spot. He's out in front and now they're making contact back there behind him. That's exactly what he wants to see. Here comes Clay Christopherson. Christopherson right there, ready to pounce, ready to work his mellow yellow 51 ride into the top 3 here, being the first potential Monte Carlo, the metric chassis, up and into our top 3 here this evening. Is the first metric chassis up inside our top 5, and for that 51, he's looking pretty solid here in this A main feature event, as we do see Holden Anderson up and into 5th now. Here comes Nate Friesen, here comes Corey Sibley, Ryder Poston. Unfortunately, Poston, I'm not sure, potentially maybe just a little bit more, hidden damage for that 2 ride, potentially some tire damage or wheel damage for that number 2, and it seems like right out of the get-go from that restart, he's been a little bit more off the pace and continue to fall farther and farther back. Is now Robert Chartet to his outside. Here comes that 4 ride of Jacob Hefner trying to work his way back up to the front. He rolls there in 9th. Ryder does fall back into that 10th position. The car that went upside down in his heat race, the 34 rider James Williams, he's going to make a little contact right there with Gary Steele as they beat and bang for 11th and 12th on the racetrack. The 34 would love to try to work his way up inside the top 10. We'll see if he can find a lane and find a way to get around that 2 machine out there on the speedway. Jordan Brinkley back in 13th. George there in position number 14. That's Daniel George number 2 out there on the speedway as RJ Murphy rolls there in 15th in his number 4 ride. Daniel George number 7 in the 71 back in position number 16. Noah Allison back in 17th, and unfortunately it looks like Thomas Thies has taken his car down pit side, and we will see the caution flag come back out. So Thies rejoins the field, and that will bring out the yellow flag right here. So Thies rolls back out, and as he does, the caution flag will fly, and unfortunately that means we'll have to stack them up, we'll have to rack them up, and we'll have to try to get this restarted here. But for Thies, unfortunately, having to make that green flag pit stop, he ran into some issues. Take a look back and see kind of where he gets the damage here. Is the 15 ride already, it just looks like he loses the handle on corner entry, goes way up the racetrack into corner number 3, smashed against that outside fence, and unfortunately causes quite a bit of damage. Has to take it right down pit side there. I instantly knew that something with that right front was kind of tore apart. Takes her down pit side. Looks like he's going to get some changes. Unfortunately, does lose a lap or 2 down pit road right there. Actually, does look like he lost 2 laps. So that's a tough spot there if you are that number 15 machinists. We'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to battle, ready to duke it out here once again as we hit our midway point here throughout this feature event. So 25 laps in, 25 laps left to go here this evening. As down across the line, it'll be 24 more laps for these drivers. So time is running out. We're almost down to our regular Sunday showcase here. Maybe just a little extra laps right here, but that's kind of where we're at now with these drivers. They know that this could be a 24, 23 lap run to the checkered flag. So you're going to get everything you can on these restarts. Hope that you can make some moves and try to gain a few positions. Put yourself into a good spot on the speedway. Give yourself a chance of potentially winning this feature event. Here we go. Green flag back into the air, and for our race leader, the 4 ride of Carson Cherry. Another great launch, great restart, but here comes that inside lane. Great great run down through corner number 1 and 2 for Latham Joyner. Joyner will stay to the inside there of that 4 ride of Carson Cherry, but Cherry down and out at corner number 4, looking to carry that speed, that momentum, and trying to keep himself out in front as here comes the 3 machine again, right back down to the inside. And it seems like Latham Joyner down through 1 and 2 can pull dead even with that 4 ride. Unfortunately, just on corner exit, loses a little bit of speed as now we do see Cherry up into the outside fence. Look out, Carson Cherry into the wall. He's going to lose the race lead. Now maybe with a little bit of right and left front damage there on that 4 ride as he falls all the way back into about the 8th position on the speedway. And now Carson Cherry back deeper in the field. He'll have to try to find something as we get him door to door now for the race lead. As here we go, duking it out here at the front of the pack is the 20 of Mr. Sebastian Rios Davis and that number 3 ride of Latham Joyner. They're battling here for the top spot. They're going to continue to beat and bang here a little bit. Each and every one of these drivers, they want to find their way to the front, and boy, oh boy, are they ever giving us a great run here, man. This is some great racing and some great battling here at the front of the field. Latham Joyner somehow or another going to stay out in front, throws a bit of a block down the straightaway, trying to kill that speed momentum for Sebastian Rios Davis. And unfortunately for Sebastian, looks like he'll have to slide back into position number 2, but now it's going to open up the door. Here comes Nate Friesen. Here comes that 51 of Clay Christopherson. Here comes the 4 ride of Mr. Jacob Hefner. Hefner has found his way back up to the front. The 4's had some pretty good speed all evening long. We saw him get tied up in that 1 caution flag, have some pretty solid right front damage, but here he is right back into the mix, trying to keep himself inside the top 3, top 5 out there on the speedway. He'll look right down to the inside, gets in there low, makes contact with the F-18. Look out, Friesen almost goes around. That was some pretty solid contact. Now here comes Carson Cherry, gonna cross over that 18 ride, gonna slide up in front of him as Cherry trying to work his way back inside the top 5. More contact, look out, there goes the 4 ride of Jacob Hefner. Caution flag is back in on the speedway. Yellow flag here once again this afternoon as Jacob Hefner runs into some problems there down and out at corner number 4. Just tight racing here, and unfortunately it all starts kind of right here with the 4 and the F-18 ride. 4 gets in there way too low. Weird angle, pushes up the racetrack, makes contact there with the F-18, then all of a sudden it brings all these other drivers right into the mix, and back down through corner number 3 and 4. Finally, things just gonna kind of come together. F-18 tries to cross down underneath of that number 4 Carson Cherry. So Cherry pulls the slide jump. Friesen tries to cross him over. Unfortunately, the 4 ride of Hefner was already there. They make contact. It shoves the 4 down the racetrack. He goes down and across the nose of the 24 ride of Noah Allison. And unfortunately, hard contact into that inside fence here at Eldora Speedway for the number 4 of Jacob Hefner, and that's what puts us right back under the caution flag here this evening. He'll head down pit side, try to get that thing repaired, and back out onto the racetrack as Latham Joyner, our race leader, going to get ready for a big restart, looking to try to hold off Sebastian Rios Davis, Clay Christopherson, the 4 ride of Carson Cherry back up inside the top 4. Nate Friesen there in 5th with Corey Sibley back in 6th. Noah Allison, Holden Anderson are top 8. Gary Steele and the 12 ride of Jordan Brinkley are top 10. Daniel George back in 11th with Ryder Poston, James Williams, Robert Chartette, RJ Murphy, Daniel George in the 7-11 or 71 ride, whichever one he wants to go with. And then we do see the other 4 ride there. There's Jacob Hefner back in that 17th position. And Thomas Leeds, unfortunately, still, I do believe, 1 lap down. Going to need another caution flag and another lucky dog to try to get him back into the action here this evening. Here we go. Green flag back out into the air. As Joyner, great restart, great launch right there as Sebastian Rios Davis gets gets up into the outside fence. Pretty solid hit right there for the 20 ride. Unfortunately, that will cost him at least a couple spots as we see Clay Christopherson up and into position number 2 as the 4 ride of Carson Cherry. Back up and into third here. He's hoping to try to keep on pushing forward and seeing if he can work his way back out in front for what would be an incredible comeback win for that number 4 ride. But for Latham Joyner, he is just looking and feeling absolutely amazing here this evening as he continues to hold down that top spot. He knows these laps are clicking down in a quick hurry, and that is meaning that we're getting closer and closer to our checkered flag, but we will see the caution flag come back out. Looks like Jordan Brinkley, heavy damage there for him. Gary Steele tied up into it, heavy damage for Gary Steele and Thomas Thies as well. Big damage here to the front end of that 15 ride. As let's take a look back and see what happens here, as I believe for Brinkley, right here, they just kind of get stacked up on the outside. 999 ride, I'm not sure if he makes contact with the fence. If you watch the 24, I think that's kind of where this is going to start. I do believe the 24 ride, I know Allison gets a good run here. Tries to get to the middle in between the 79 and the 999. Unfortunately, as he gets there, they're not expecting it, and I do believe right there, you're going to see the 24 washes up the racetrack, kind of hooks that 999 of Corey Sibley down the racetrack, and he's just going to stand the throttle, continues to push the 999 basically down into the 79 of Gary Steele, which drives the 12 of Brinkley. Both drivers hard contact down to the inside fence. They both roll back up the racing surface, and unfortunately, I do believe you're going to see R.J. Murphy here nowhere to go. Absolutely clobbers the 12 rider Jordan Brinkley, as you do see Jacob Hefner and Daniel George also get up into the outside fence, trying to avoid that spun sideways number 79. But heavy damage there for at least 3 drivers. They will have to look for pit road, and we're going to see potentially a few more also head down pit side and try to get some repairs done, as we do see Thomas Thies is down there. We do see James Williams also down pit side getting repairs done to that 34 machine, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to green flag racing. The 3 ride, a Latham Joyner, man, he wants to see this checkered flag come out as quickly as possible. He wants to see these laps get clicked off. He wants to see not a lot of these drivers get back out of pit road, because he knows that each and every one of them that head down pit side could be potentially another position that he may not lose if something late in this race happens or goes wrong for him. If he can kind of stay in front of those drivers that have had some issues, could work out into his benefit, as we do see Jordan Brinkley, Gary Steele, Thomas Thies all roll back out onto the racing surface. Now, unfortunately, I do believe for a couple of these guys, they may be a lap or multiple laps down, as we are going to see that green flag back out into the air for the number 3 Latham Joyner. Joyner gets a great launch, great restart right there, as we see Carson Cherry right in the middle of it, as he saw the F-18 looking down to the inside. Nate Friesen was hoping to try to work his way up and into that second spot. Unfortunately, lost a ton of speed momentum down the back straightaway, down through 3 and 4, falls all the way back into about that 6-7 position out there on the speedways. Now we do see, I believe that is Ryder posting up into the outside fence there on the back straightaway for the KRE machine. Gonna lose a spot at least here as Robert Chartette down to his inside. Here comes Hefner though, looking to try to battle back. So isn't Jordan Brinkley, as they've got Holden Anderson in that 8th position right there in front of them. The 24 and Noah Allison, he's looking to keep on battling, as they got a couple metric cars right here in front of them that they're trying to figure out their way around. As out in front, it's Latham Joyner though, who's just run away with this one. Half a second gap now between himself and that 51 Clay Christopherson. Back there in second. Great run here for this 51 machine, man. The mellow yellow ride hooked up here this evening. Carson Cherry back up and into third, but he tried to battle, tried to hang with that 51. I'm not sure if the damage on this 4 ride is just affecting his speed, but it doesn't seem like he's quite got that speed in that run that he had early on in this feature event, and now kind of stalled out there in that 3rd spot on the speedway. Sebastian Rios Davis there in that 4th position, as Nate Friesen and Corey Sibley Cherry all over his back bumper. Sibley makes a little bit of contact there with that F18, and for Friesen trying to race his way up and through our top 5 now on the Speedway. Holden Anderson's right there as well, our third heat race winner of the evening. Now, out of the get-go, we saw him kind of fall back, and now, oh, look out, contact there for him up into the outside fence after it looked like Brinkley had kind of got into his back end, kind of shoved that 13 right up and into the outside wall, and that killed a lot of his speed and momentum. And now he's kind of right back up there as the 4 right down to his inside, contact there between the two, and then more contact here, unfortunately for the 71 of Robert Chardet, just trying to rejoin our top 10 here. It's kind of got a little bit of contact. He's been bounced around the last couple laps here. Luckily enough, able to hang on to it, rolls back in the 11th position. But for right now, the laps are closing down. It's nice and easy through 3 and out of 4. We will see 5 laps left to go here in this feature event as Joyner has the race lead. Joyner out in front, Christopherson back in position number 2, and Carson Cherry there in third as our top 3 kind of separated themselves from one another, but has also kind of left our 4th, 5th, and the rest of the field back there in the dust. As Corey Sibley trying to jump up into that 4th position, trying to find his way around that 20 right of Sebastian Rios Davis. Neither driver going to want to give it up, but out in front, running away with this one, is this 3 machine of Latham Joyner with only 3 laps left to go here this evening. None of these drivers want to see a late race caution flag. They want to see this one go to the checkered flag here this evening, but will something late in this race happen? Will we see a caution flag fly where something may go wrong here for these drivers? We do see Jacob Hafner having to come down pit road. Looked like he had gotten more damage to that 4 ride. Makes it down pit side. No caution flag. We keep it clean and green. That's exactly what Latham Joyner wants to see, is down through 3 and out of 4. Back down across the line for the number 3 machine of Latham Joyner. He sees that white flag fly. So this will be the final lap around the racetrack no matter what. So for the final time, down into 3. Nice and easy, and at corner number 4, it is the number 3 of Mr. Joyner who picks up the checkered flag here this evening in our Veterans Memorial 50-lapper here with the Speedway Alliance Racing League. Joyner gets it done and picks up the win here at Eldora Speedway as we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth as Clay Christopherson comes home in position number 2. Carson Cherry back in third. Nate Friesen and Ryder Poston rounding out our top 5. Jordan Brinkley back in 6th as Sebastian Rios Davis had slid back to 7th. Corey Sibley, Holden Anderson, and Robert Chartet. Our top 10 out there on the Speedway, but it's all the number 3 of Latham Joyner as he picks up the dub here this evening. We'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 into the broadcast booth here for some post-race interviews. Post-race interviews gonna come up next. Now, I'm not sure who is who here in this. Okay, I do believe that is Latham right there. Hey, Mr. Joyner, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Latham, what a run, what a drive for you here in this one, as there was a lot of beating and banging, a lot of movement out there on the racetrack, but slowly but surely, you slice and dice your way through that top 5. You finally get an opportunity to steal this race lead away from Carson Cherry as Cherry gets up into the outside fence out of corner number 4. You and that 20 rider, Sebastian Rios Davis, jump down to the inside, and then you two have to duke it out for a little while. It took you a few laps to finally clear that 20 of Sebastian Rios Davis. With a couple of these late race restarts, still with these drivers knock on your back bumper, you don't make a mistake, you don't look back, and from that point, you never give up the race lead, and you park yourself up and in to victory lane.
Yeah, I was fun. Obviously, only got third in the heat, and I changed the gear a little bit on it. And obviously, my setup was made by Jacob Hefner. He's kind of the setup guy for our little group. So big shout out to him for obviously making it and tuning on it. But was back there with Sebastian. We beat and banged before we got up front, and we beat and banged when we got up front too. It was fun. You're both fighting for that same lane. I'm sure our setups were just similar, and that's why we're fighting for it. Yeah, I hope it was a good show. Obviously, there at the end, I stretched it out a little bit. I think our setup was a little bit set up for that longer run, not burning off the tires as much. But I hope it was a good show. The leader made a mistake there, and it really made it exciting down the front stretch when we were 3 wide. So I just, I hope we put on a good show for everybody. And I just want to thank all the Rapid guys, and especially Jacob Hefner for the setup.
Yeah, absolutely. A very exciting race. A lot of back and forth, a lot of beating and banging, elbows up racing for all 50 laps of action here this evening. Latham, congratulations on the checkered flag here this evening. A big win for that number 3 machine, and we can't wait to see you back in action next Sunday night and see if you can join us right back up here in the broadcast booth.
Yes, sir. Sure hope so.
Beauty Latham, enjoy the rest of your evening and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
Try not to, man. You have a good night, okay?
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Latham Joyner, as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, Clay Christopherson. Hey, Clay, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Clay, man, great run, great drive here this evening as you're the top Monte Carlo out there on the racetrack, able to find that metric chassis, driving through the field up to the front here, beating and banging with these guys late in the race, and somehow or another, man, you're able to punch on through and come home with a very solid second place run, man. Take us back through what's going through your mind.
Yeah, the car felt really good. I was running the kind of a bottom groove or middle groove and felt like I could get a little pull on every car and decide how to pass them or whatnot. It was tough to pass regardless. That 3 wide racing we were doing for a while, that was really fun.
Yeah, that's the key to it right there. Fun and having a good time out there on the racetrack, enjoying some great racing. And here tonight, man, you guys put on a great show for us, some great battles there, and for yourself being able to lead the charge here with those metric chassis and jumping up here into a very solid second place drive, man. Who'd you like to thank for a good run and good performance here at Eldora?
All you guys for putting this on, all the guys at FTM and Swan Speed Shop for 350 and big block sets.
Beauty. Well, Clay, great run, great drive, man. We can't wait to see you back out on the racetrack next Sunday night. Hopefully, we'll get you right back up here in the broadcast booth, maybe one spot better, and up in Victory Lane yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Clay Christopherson. As we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher, the number 4 ride. It is Carson Cherry who comes home in that third position. Hey, Carson, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah.
Carson, man, good run, good drive for you here this evening. Looked like you definitely had that 4 machine hooked up, hanging that left front in the air, looking pretty all evening long until it got a little bit not so pretty for you. Leading the way, leading the charge here for the first half of this race, and then all of a sudden down through 3 and 4, got up a little too high, got into that outside fence, and all of a sudden you just killed all the speed momentum out of that car. You fall back into about the 8th position. Slowly but surely, though, you do battle your way back up here into the 3rd spot, but it seemed like maybe just that little bit of damage, or maybe just having to push a little bit harder there to get back through the traffic, and just kind of burned your stuff up and kind of stalled out there in position number 3. But man, take us back through and what's kind of going through your mind.
And I knew I had a fast car even before we did hot laps. I didn't set a lap time, and I gave my setup to my buddy Ryder. He changed a couple things, and he set quick time. So I knew off of that, like, all right, I got a good piece, and that heat race, it was a good race between me and I believe it was the 4 car, and or the other 4 car, I should say. And then I kind of got away from him, started pulling the feature, and this will make me sound cocky, but man, it really sucks having the fastest car on track and screwing up like that. That's really that really hurts.
Yeah, it definitely stings. Definitely makes a good night a tough night in a quick hurry. When you don't get the finish, you feel like you deserved or that you could have had here today. But I mean, at the end of the day, points wise, still a really good night for you. Heat race win. You jump out here, you finish the night off still inside the top three, keeping a lot of these other fast cats back there behind you and still holding on here for a pretty solid finish.
Yeah. I mean, we were in a three-way tie for the points lead, and now we're only in a two-way tie for the points lead with Jacob, who I believe caused a wreck coming to the checkered. I mean, that's just personally my opinion. Or no, not Jacob. It was Jordan. My bad. But I mean, it's a two-way tie now, and whenever you have an average start of 14th and an average finish of second, you got a good piece with you constantly, and uh, I'm just glad to be here. I mean, that's really it.
Absolutely, brother. It's always fun. It's always good driving and great racing. And you guys put on another great show for all the fans in the stands here this evening. Carson, who would you like to thank for another solid performance and great car here this evening at Eldora Speedway?
First of all, I want to thank you. I mean, you don't have to be here to do it for us and broadcast for us, but you are, and just means a lot. And I want to thank Gary. I mean, he gives me the privilege to carry his father's name on the hood of this car constantly, and it just means a lot that he trusts me that much. I want to thank Team Purpose Racing. I mean, they took a chance on me, and me and Sebastian have always been tight. We've been tight for a couple years now. Two fat guys, me and Mitch, man, we bust our ass on a lot of different things, and um, I've got a lot of experience on asphalt cars, on dirt, and I kind of feel like that helped me. I want to thank in the club. I mean, they're just a good group of guys, and um, I think of them as brothers. Because there's nothing better. Uh, Very obviously, I want to thank Trey Motorsports because I mean it's me and I do my best. Uh, uh, and Mr. Smooth Race Reps. I mean, he didn't make this rep, but I mean he's like a little brother to me, and I really appreciate it for everything he does. And man, just I usually start off my interviews with this, but man, I just really got to thank my mom and dad um, for everything they do for me, and how much they push me. Uh, just you know, just sucks right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, always stings when you have a quick car, a great car, potentially the best car out there. You don't end up finding victory lane, but man, still a great run, great drive for you, man. Congrats on the third place finish, and we can't wait to see you back out there again next Sunday night, and hopefully trying to gain those extra 2 spots and find yourself back up here in victory lane.
Yes, sir, man. I'm really gonna try my best.
Absolutely, we can't wait to see how it plays out for you, Carson. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Carson Cherry. Great run, great drive there for that number 4 machine as Cherry comes home in that third position. Unfortunately, that will do it for us here this evening, man. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will be back here in just a little bit. We'll be live again this afternoon for our next race of the night. Yeah, we'll be back in action. We'll be back up here in the booth as our Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League heads to Daytona for our Daytona Duels, which will set the stage for the Wheel-to-Wheel Daytona 500 next Sunday night. But for tonight, we got the duels, so a couple great races later on here this evening to see, who sets the stage, who will sit on that pole position, and, where the field will kind of stack up against each other, after some great racing at Daytona International Speedway here in just a little bit. So, unfortunately, that will do it for us here in this one. After this stream ends, we'll be back live in probably about another 10 minutes or so, something like that. But anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we'll see y'all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Kick dust. visor, no